Title: My cheating wife's lover turned around and was met with blinding pain. Hours later, in the ER, doctors found broken limbs and destroyed genitals, but my ironclad alibi left everyone stunned. Betrayal is like a slow-acting poison. You don't notice it at first, just a strange bitterness in the air, a faint unease in the pit of your stomach. But by the time you realize what's happening, it's too late. The damage has already seeped into every corner of your life. For me, that realization came the night I stumbled across the first undeniable clue. Until then, I was blissfully ignorant, living in a world built on trust and love, false pillars I hadn't yet recognized for what they were. But when the truth hit, it didn't just crack my world, it shattered it. I could have confronted my wife, Sophia, right then. I could have yelled, raged, or begged for an explanation. But something inside me wouldn't allow it. No, I wanted more than the fleeting satisfaction of a heated argument. I wanted justice. The moment I uncovered her betrayal, my purpose became clear. I wouldn't just expose the truth. I'd take back control of my life, piece by calculated piece. And by the time it was over, the ones who had wronged me would never forget the price of their deceit. From the outside, Sophia and I were a dream couple. People envied us, not just our careers, but the way we seemed to fit together, two halves of a perfect whole. She was a curator at one of Prague's most celebrated art galleries, her name whispered with admiration among the city's elite. I, Anton Novak, was a rising star in the world of finance, managing investments for some of the wealthiest families in Europe. Our life was a symphony of success: charity galas, exclusive dinners, luxurious weekend getaways. Friends marveled at how seamlessly we balanced ambition and love. But perfection, as I would come to learn, is often a mask. And ours was slipping. It started small, so subtle I almost missed it. Sophia's laughter grew more reserved, her smiles less genuine. She began coming home later than usual, her explanations polished but hollow. "Late night at the gallery," she'd say, or, "An artist needs me to consult on a last-minute installation." I wanted to believe her. I convinced myself that her dedication to her work was a sign of her brilliance, not a symptom of something darker. But doubts lingered. They gnawed at me in the quiet hours of the night when her side of the bed was empty, her scent fading from the sheets. And then there was the sapphire necklace. It had been a gift for our anniversary, a symbol of our love. She wore it everywhere, until one day she didn't. When I asked about it, her response was quick, almost too quick. "Oh, it's at the jeweler's for cleaning." Her words seemed plausible enough, but something about the way she avoided my gaze left a shadow in my mind. It was the first time I felt the faint stirrings of suspicion, though I didn't yet know how deeply they would take root. The truth has a way of revealing itself, often in the quietest of moments. For me, it happened one evening while Sophia was upstairs, getting ready for another work event. Her phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, lighting up with a message that I might have ignored if not for the name displayed on the screen: Lucas Riedel. I had never heard her mention a Lucas before. My curiosity flared, and before I could stop myself, I picked up the phone. The message was brief but devastating. "Can't wait to see you again. Same time tomorrow." For a moment, the world seemed to tilt. My hands trembled as I stared at the words, trying to make sense of them. Who was Lucas? What did he mean by again? The implications were clear, but my mind rebelled against them, desperately searching for another explanation. Upstairs, I could hear Sophia humming softly, the sound a cruel contrast to the storm raging inside me. I placed the phone back on the counter, careful to leave no trace of my intrusion. Confronting her then would have been too easy, too impulsive. I needed more than a text message. I needed proof. Suspicion turned to obsession in the days that followed. Sophia's patterns, once so mundane, now seemed laced with hidden meanings. Every late-night meeting, every last-minute dinner plan became a thread in a tapestry of deceit. I began tracking her movements, searching for the truth she thought she'd buried. The Grand Continental Hotel was the first clue that confirmed my worst fears. A 5-star establishment known for its discretion, it appeared twice on our credit card statement under Sophia's name. When I asked her about it, she waved it off with a breezy smile. I had to book a room for a visiting artist. The gallery reimbursed me. It was a good lie, almost too good. Using a contact in the hospitality industry, I confirmed that Sophia had indeed booked a suite, but not for an artist. The reservation listed her as the primary guest, with a companion, Lucas Riedel. The knowledge hit me like a punch to the gut, but I forced myself to remain calm. My anger wouldn't help me now. I needed to know more. I began following her discreetly, careful never to be seen. One night, she left our house dressed to the nines, claiming she was meeting with a gallery sponsor. Instead, I watched as she drove to the Grand Continental and met Lucas in the lobby. They didn't even bother with subtlety. His arm slipped around her waist as they laughed together, disappearing into the elevator. Every fibre of my being screamed for me to confront them right then, to tear their little fantasy apart. But I held back. I wasn't ready yet. Instead, I spent the next week gathering every piece of evidence I could. I photographed their meetings, recorded their interactions, and even hired a private investigator to dig into Lucas's background. What I found only fueled my resolve. Lucas wasn't just a playboy. He was a married man with children, running a business that thrived on its polished reputation. He thought he was untouchable. Sophia thought she was untouchable. They were both about to learn how wrong they were. Revenge, I realized, wasn't a moment. It was a masterpiece. Every move had to be deliberate, every detail carefully orchestrated. Sophia and Lucas thought they were living a secret romance, oblivious to the storm gathering around them. I started with Lucas. His schedule was predictable once I began paying attention. He visited the same gym every Tuesday and Thursday, parked his flashy Audi in the same spot, under the same dim security camera. He always took his time inside, emerging relaxed and confident, as if he owned the world. I knew this arrogance would be his downfall. While Sophia thought I was working late, I was tracking Lucas's movements, compiling his habits like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. Every text they exchanged, every hotel booking Sophia made, every casual dinner they shared, all of it fed into the web I was spinning around them. I didn't just want Lucas to feel the sting of betrayal. I wanted his life to crumble. I reached out to a private investigator, paying handsomely for information on Lucas's business dealings. What I discovered was a goldmine: shady partnerships, questionable tax filings, and a mistress before Sophia, who had mysteriously left town after threatening to go public. Next, I planted the bait. I used a burner phone to text Lucas as an anonymous client interested in his services, arranging a meeting at a familiar location, his gym parking lot. I knew he'd be intrigued, eager to expand his portfolio, too confident to question the timing. The trap was set. All I needed was patience. The night of the confrontation arrived with an eerie calm. Sophia thought I was out of town for a conference, the perfect cover for her rendezvous with Lucas. Little did she know, I was waiting. I positioned myself near the gym, hidden in the shadows. When Lucas appeared, stepping out of his car with that trademark swagger, I felt a surge of cold resolve. He didn't notice me until it was too late. "Lucas," I called out, my voice sharp in the still air. He turned, his face flashing with surprise and then irritation. "Who are you?" he demanded, his tone impatient. I stepped closer, letting the streetlight illuminate my face. "You don't recognize me," I said, my voice steady. "I'm Anton, Sophia's husband." His eyes widened for a fraction of a second before narrowing. "Listen, man, whatever you think is going on..." I didn't let him finish. My fist connected with his jaw, the satisfying crunch echoing in the empty lot. He staggered back, clutching his face, but I didn't stop. "You thought you could waltz into my life and take what's mine," I said, grabbing him by the collar and slamming him against his car. "You thought I wouldn't notice, that I wouldn't fight back." He tried to respond, but I drove my knee into his stomach, cutting off his breath. He crumpled to the ground, groaning in pain. "Let this be a lesson," I said, crouching down to look him in the eye. "You don't mess with a man's family and walk away unscathed." But I wasn't finished. Revenge without precision is reckless, and I wasn't about to leave anything to chance. After leaving Lucas in the parking lot, battered and broken, I drove to a bar on the other side of town. The bartender greeted me warmly, recognizing me as a regular. I made small talk, laughing and chatting with other patrons as though it were any other evening. I ordered a drink, took a few selfies with the bartender, and posted one to my social media with a playful caption, "When the boss is away, the whiskey comes out to play." The timestamp was my safety net. I even made sure to chat with the manager, mentioning how late I'd be staying. The cameras captured it all, me walking in, drinking, and leaving hours later. When Lucas was found in the parking lot the next morning, his injuries severe enough to land him in the ER, I was miles away, with a rock-solid alibi. The aftermath played out exactly as I'd hoped. Sophia returned home the next day, her face pale and drawn. She avoided my gaze as she busied herself in the kitchen, her hands shaking. "Everything okay?" I asked casually, watching her closely. She hesitated. "Yeah, just tired," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I let her squirm. I knew she'd heard about Lucas, how he was hospitalized with broken ribs, a fractured jaw, and injuries so humiliating he wouldn't dare explain them. He'd become a cautionary tale among his peers, his business partners distancing themselves from the chaos. Sophia's world began to unravel. Lucas stopped answering her calls, and whispers of the scandal reached her gallery. Invitations to exclusive events dried up, her polished reputation tarnished. As for me, I moved forward, stronger and sharper than ever. Standing on my balcony one evening, I watched the sun set over Prague, the golden light reflecting off the river below. The betrayal had been a fire that burned away the illusions in my life, leaving only the truth. And the truth was this: I had won. "Sometimes," I murmured to myself, "you don't need to fight the storm. You just need to let it clear the way." Months later, I had rebuilt my life, free of the shadows Sophia had cast over it. The divorce was finalized quietly, with no fanfare. She left with nothing but memories of what she'd lost. One afternoon, while visiting a gallery in Berlin, I found myself captivated by a painting, a vivid landscape that seemed to pulse with emotion. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" a voice said beside me. I turned to see a woman, her expression warm, and her eyes bright with curiosity. "It is," I replied, feeling a genuine smile tug at my lips. Her name was Elena, an artist traveling through Europe for inspiration. We talked for hours, finding common ground in our shared love of art and life's unpredictability. For the first time in years, I felt something stir within me, a sense of possibility, of hope. To those listening to this story, let it be a reminder. Betrayal may shatter you, but it doesn't define you. What you build from the pieces is what truly matters. Thank you for being a part of this story with me. If it moved you, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to Lauren's story. I've noticed many of you who enjoy these stories aren't subscribed yet. By subscribing, you're not just following a channel, you're becoming part of a community that values deep, meaningful storytelling. Let's continue exploring these heartfelt journeys together. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss our next story.